Hello, everybody. How are you doing? It is my pleasure to speak to you today, coming from a very rainy Ottawa, Canada. So, welcome to you all for wherever you're tuning in from. And today I'll be speaking on advancing the future of CI/CD and GitOps together. So first, I'd like to kick off with a quick introduction. So my name is Tracy Miranda. I'm the Executive Director at the Continuous Delivery Foundation. And I got into the whole DevOps space maybe 4 years ago. And before CDF, I was doing open source at CloudBees, working closely with the Jenkins and Jenkins X community. And before then, I've had about 20 years of experience in open source and tech. And long story short, I'm just a really big fan of open source and everything we can achieve together as open source communities. So when it comes to GitOps, GitOps is an area I've been trying to learn and understand and really help others get to grips with. So back in 2018 is when I first learned about the concept. And I was dabbling in like really bad poetry, which I now safe to say I have given up. But it was interesting to see from those early days back in 2018, talk about GitOps. And then over the years, the rise of people tuning into this concept and really appreciating it. And now today we have this amazing GitOps Con the day before KubeCon. And I went so far as earlier this year as part of some of my predictions as saying, we are getting to the tipping point for GitOps. And as a consequence, also predicting, we're going to start seeing our first job ads with GitOps in the title. So GitOps engineer or GitOps architect. And not surprising because this is something that's really helping people in their journey to software delivery. So I'm going to come back into the GitOps later, but first I'm going to take a step back and tell you what I've been focused on lately in the space of continuous delivery and the Continuous Delivery Foundation. So let's start with continuous delivery. So we define it as a software development practice in which teams release software changes to users safely, quickly, and sustainably. And this is something which has seen dramatic changes recently because once upon a time, it was pretty easy. If you had a monolith, you were only working with limited number of environments. But as we've evolved and software is moving towards a cloud-native world, we have to contend with this distributed nature of applications. And teams really have to figure out, what deploying to different environments really looks like. So there's a lot changing in this space. And before I go into more details of that, I want to step back and just talk through some different terms we often see in the industry and try to state what the differences are, just for folks, particularly those who are new to the space, to alleviate some of the confusion. So I want to position 3 things that are often used in an interchangeable and confusing manner. So Agile, CI/CD, and DevOps. While there is a definite overlap, each one tends to have a distinct focus. So Agile focuses on processes, and DevOps focuses on culture, while continuous delivery focuses on tools and automation. And then I'll come back later to how I see GitOps fitting in this picture. But for the rest of this talk, I'll be focused in on the continuous delivery aspect. And I'm a strong believer that while you can use tools and adopt those can be really strong drivers for helping change culture, helping bring about differences in how teams work together and how they approach problems. So in this whole space, we are super lucky to have a massive roadmap for how we should be thinking about delivering software in the modern age, as well as how we should be thinking about building and scaling our high-performing technology organizations. And this comes in the form of the amazing Accelerate book by Nicole Forsgren, Jez Humble, and Jean Kim. And my favorite quote from the whole book is the statement of software delivery is an exercise in continuous improvement, and our research shows that year over year, the best keep getting better, and those who fail to improve fall further and further behind. So there is no room for standing still in this space. So that's the bad news for everyone's here. But the good news is you're all here, and we're all going to do a continuous improvement journey together. So if you haven't already checked out the book, I highly recommend it, as well as the State of DevOps reports done by that DORA team, particularly the 2019 one. And if you haven't got around to it, I'm going to give you the quick summary as well, just to really set out what this book is all about and how it helps us think about delivering software today. So the book highlights 24 capabilities which will help you drive improvement. And these cover all sorts of different aspects. But what I want to highlight is that the first 8 in this list are what are called continuous delivery capabilities. So specific things you need to do in the continuous delivery space to drive improvement. And the other things as well, you'll see it's a full list, so it's not easy. You have to do all these things all at the same time. So pulling in the cultural, the management, product and processes, and tying it all together. And you might ask yourself, okay, how would I measure, if I set off on a journey to try and improve these and develop these capabilities, how do I know I'm being successful? And the good news is that the DORA folks have you covered. In their research, they identified 4 key metrics that were predictive of success in delivering software, as well as in meeting organizational goals. So these 4 metrics, they're pretty amazing, and in an industry where we often like our metrics, I will say that these particular metrics stand out because not only have they been proven through peer-reviewed research to be indicative of success in delivering software, but where was I going with that? They are also metrics that are both what we might think of as IT metrics as well as business metrics. So they do this incredible role of straddling both those worlds. And it's a great kind of common language for teams to have. So 2 of the metrics are around speed. How frequently are you deploying? Is it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly? And what is your lead time for changes to get from commit to production? And the other 2 are around stability, of making sure things don't go badly. What is the frequency of changes that result in failures? And if something goes wrong, how quickly does it take you to restore services? So these are, above everything else, the measures of success you really want to be optimizing for. And I think this is the role GitOps plays, and I'm sure that there's many amazing speakers today, and I can see in the GitOps talks I've heard throughout my career, a big one is talking about how you can leverage GitOps, particularly on improving these metrics. So going from deploying monthly to daily, and just having better protection against change failure, or being able to just restore services super quickly. So GitOps ties directly to how we think about measuring success in this space. So it almost begs the question of, we know how to deliver software today. We have these amazing resources, so how to think about it. why isn't everybody doing it? Why are some of these practices just not as widely adopted as we would like? And I think this is down to three main reasons. First of all, the rise of microservices and cloud-native technology. While these give us unprecedented ways to scale, at the same time, they present a lot of challenges, and they force us as teams to completely rethink how we are approaching it and how we are working together to do this. Secondly, things are really complicated by the real fragmented tool landscape that's out there today. The onus really is on users to figure out how to put together all these different parts of the tools to come up with your end-to-end software delivery pipeline. Things are changing very quickly, so we have the onset of, perhaps if you work in an area with regulation or compliance, then you have to kind of also figure out how to meet those needs for your business, and how to go about kind of evaluating all the different options out there. And finally, the third thing is change is hard. So there's an incredible rate of change in technology at the moment, yet as people and teams, we sometimes have a limited capacity to evolve. So it's trying to work out how to make those changes and bring everybody along for the journey. And so these kind of problems are generally acknowledged in the industry, and some of the thinking behind the launch of the Continuous Delivery Foundation back in 2019 as not only a new home for some open source projects in this space, but also as a way to bring people together to tackle these problems. And here at CDF, we set out that our mission is to improve the world's capacity to deliver software with security and speed. And so that pretty much means helping organization and helping teams to figure out what the best way to deliver software is and how to make those changes in a world where nothing is staying still. But we know that if you're not continuously improving, you're falling further and further behind. And the way we go about this in the foundation is through three main kind of objectives. So the first one is to drive continuous delivery adoption. So regardless of which tool you're using or how you've set up your teams, we just want everybody to get better at this and particularly improve with respect to those metrics we talked about earlier. And one of the roles CDF is going to play in this space is just raising awareness and making continuous delivery benefits and things be a top level concern for every organization. And a lot of resources on our website, and also start highlighting a landscape we're pulling together, so very similar and certainly inspired by the CNCF landscape, but trying to zoom in on software delivery and break this myth of the term CI/CD sort of leads us to believe you've just got to do integration and deployment and you're done. But the reality is there's a lot more to contend with. Certainly testing and security should be first-class citizens in our software delivery. And this landscape tries to give that 20-foot view of all the different options in the space and tools that are available. And to a certain extent, trying to cut between cloud-native solutions and traditional ones. So the second area is cultivating growth of our projects. So very similar to CNCF. CDF launched with 4 key open source projects, Jenkins, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, and Spinnaker, the great technology brought to us by Netflix and behind a lot of their delivery success. And then also newer projects, Tekton and Jenkins X, which I'll speak a bit more about. But one of the key things is there's these projects at different points of adoption in the industry. So Jenkins and Spinnaker are already used heavily in production across lots of different arenas and industries, where Jenkins X, like many cloud-native technologies, are still in those early stages of being adopted, the innovators and the early adopters. And we find, teams are all over the place in terms of trying to figure out how to evolve. So whether they get to start greenfield with something new or whether they've got something existing, neither of those should make a difference in how you evolve and how you undergo your continuous improvement journey. And one of the things we often ask ourselves with our projects is, can they help people to get better with these capabilities? And certainly there are a number of particular capabilities we feel that the right tools can really help improve your approach to this. And what we'd love to see in general in the industry is for folks who are developing tools in this space to tie back to these kind of best practices or capabilities and speak to whether they're helping people kind of choose a good path towards that, or facilitating it, or kind of leaving them on their own to try and figure out what to do. And tools won't solve all your problem. Certainly it's not that easy, but I think they can help in many different ways. And this is the approach the folks who developed Jenkins X have done. They're kind of looking specifically at those capabilities, and there's a great blog post on their site about how it's opinionately put together in a way that lends itself to saying, okay, this is how it will support these capabilities outlined in Accelerate. And I'm not going to go too much into details, but I want to give a quick high-level view. So Jenkins X kind of covers the CI orchestration, so from source to binary, container image, YAML manifest to Helm chart. And it also has a capability for deployment and a GitOps flow. And shout out to Maurizio Salatino for these slides from our talk we gave at KubeCon last year. So the final point I just want to touch on from the CDF is, with all our tools, we're driving for tool interoperability, not just with the tools in our foundation, but any tools in the industry, particularly open source tools. And in that spirit, like Jenkins X uses Tekton. For those of you not familiar with Tekton, it came out of the Knative project, and it provides some standardized building blocks for CI/CD systems using cloud-native technology. So it's a great analogy of Jenkins X is the porcelain and Tekton is the plumbing. And we're encouraging folks to take a look at reusing the building blocks within Tekton, just as a way to say, let's avoid reinventing the wheel and start building more higher and higher level systems. And that's kind of the ethos of a lot of our groups, and in particular, we want to promote interoperability, so driving for common APIs, metadata, and other things. And finally, I'll do a shout out to our interoperability group. So if folks want to come and participate in those efforts, please do come along. And one of the things you find, we've already put together this, what they call the Rosetta Stone for continuous delivery terms, because unfortunately each tool sort of talks about different stages in the pipeline differently, but we've put together a table and a document which helps people translate what those mean. And it's been great to have input from a wide set of tool builders to that document. So just conscious of time, I'm just going to start wrapping up. But we'd love for folks in this community to get involved, and I think the best way to do that is to join us when you're done with KubeCon. Come join us at CDCon, which is in June, and it's also a virtual experience. We have a lot of talks on the projects, as well as a holistic picture of developer productivity and developer experience, as well as hearing from lots of end users and how they're tackling CD today. And in fact, we had so many talks on GitOps there that we spun out a special GitOps Summit, which we're co-hosting with the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. So if you can't get enough of GitOps, join us at that, make that your next pit stop after this event. And as a final shout out, we are also giving out some awards for top GitOps end users and top GitOps evangelists. So we'd encourage folks to nominate an organization or someone, and we do encourage self-nominations as well. So if you're doing amazing things in the space of GitOps, we'd love to get you involved with our awards. And that's the award itself, which is a Klein lamp, which is a 3D continuous surface to just embody that spirit of continuous improvement. So I'll leave it there, but feel free to get in touch and ask any follow-up questions. And I invite you all to join the community building the future of continuous delivery. Thank you very much.